Good afternoon and good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream number 398. And it is Wednesdays with Skep today, and Skep Talk should be joining us any moment now. The dogs probably said that they were going to mutiny if they didn't get to go outside or something. So he, I'm sure, will be joining us momentarily. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We have our wonderful friends Spittlebuggies in chat. We have Costin. We have uh, Duck Dog, I think, is in chat as well. Um, we've got 6 people here. Hello, 6 people. I hope you are all doing wonderfully today. I yesterday did not do a Beat the Blind Girl stream because I was getting my eyes cleaned yesterday, so that was interesting. We went down and got them cleaned up in the afternoon. So what happens with that is it's basically a big polishing wheel that your prosthetic eyes get buffed on, and if there's any like pitting or any, like if there's anything that needs to be taken off the eye, they do that too. It's just a bit of a cleanup because there's still about 2 years left on my eyes, so I just needed them cleaned. So that's what we were doing today or yesterday. And hello, Mr. Skep Talk.
Hey, yeah, how you doing? I've been ready to join the stream all morning, and then like 3 minutes before the stream starts, of course, everybody comes to the door. So
I was like, either someone came to the door or the dogs were like, listen, Dad, we're gonna mutiny unless you take us outside.
mhm. No, they got me up at 5 o'clock this morning, which was great
Oh,
because I went to
God.
bed like 2. So I've had like 8 cups of coffee and just trying to survive at this point. But how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay. I had, so it's day 2 of remote learning round 2.
What do you think?
It's still stupid.
Hmm.
But so what I'm doing
Have they
is,
changed anything?
nope, they're just doing it exactly like they did in January.
S-
So
What's the
what I'm
definition of
doing
insanity?
I'm doing is I have Alex checking in basically for attendance,
Yeah.
and then I I let the teacher kind of give the first activity
Hmm.
out, and then I kind of explain it a little bit more in depth, like get him off the meet because it's Google Meet that they're using, which is just freaking fantastic. Um,
Yeah, that's a real comfort.
and so they're using, so I get him off the Google meeting, and then he and I just work on it together
Hmm.
because I don't want him in front of the screen for 6 hours.
No, he's supposed to be in a school with his schoolmates. This is a child who is basically, for practical purposes, immune to harm from COVID
Yeah,
at the age that he is. He doesn't have asthma or anything like
nope,
that, right?
no asthma, no nothing like that. Neither
Doesn't have
kid
any
does.
comorbidity,
Nope.
and so they, even if they got it, it likely as not would be asymptomatic. They would not even know that they had it. People are going in and being surprised when they show that they have antibodies because they never felt
We're
anything.
we are convinced that we had COVID in
Yeah,
like the spring or summer because we were basically down and out for a week and a half. Pincalo had like he was drinking, the juice that hot peppers come in the jar.
right.
Like he
Yes,
was literally drinking that
I actually drink that myself,
and
so I understand that.
could not taste it. Like
Yeah,
he
oh,
was
yeah,
just like he was drinking it like it was water.
yeah,
And so we are convinced that we had COVID.
yeah,
And we're
yeah.
fine. We're fine. All of
Yeah.
us are fine.
I mean, that's not to say, and we don't want to have a medical
No,
misinformation
no, no,
strike
no.
against your channel. COVID is something that does need to be taken very seriously, and this
For sure.
thing, if you're if you have a comorbidity, or you're and comorbidity can be as simple as age. This thing can come up and bite you and kill you, and it
Yes.
has killed a lot of people. So we, definitely want to get that out there.
Oh
But
yeah.
that
No, I
said,
had
for
a
kids, it really does seem to be a lot less risky. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
I had a friend. He's lives in the States. He one of my blind friends, and he has COPD, and he caught COVID,
Oh wow.
and he almost died.
What does he have COPD from?
He's a smoker.
Oh, okay. So he did it
He
himself,
did it
and
himself.
and
Yeah.
he's got lung
And
pathology.
so he's got lung pathology, and he almost died. Like
Yeah.
his blood oxygen level at one point was very low.
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder is uh, not something you recover from. It's
No.
something you die from,
Yeah.
and it kills at differing rates and widely differing rates depending on when you contract it and what you contract it from.
Yeah.
COPD can uh, be the result of any number of things, both pathogenic, meaning coming from a germ or a virus, or something mechanical, something like white lung disease, for example,
Yeah.
or even black lung disease, or smoking and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So anyway, without jumping too far down the spur hole there, that's an extremely serious thing, and if you get COVID with that, um, you probably have a substantially greater risk of having a difficult course of disease, and
Yeah.
potentially disastrous course of the disease, than somebody who doesn't have it. So anyway, we do take it seriously here on the Blind Press stream
Yes, we do.
at Susan. And yeah, don't kick
Did
us
you
off.
see that Susan and Molly are working together now? Molly is part of the YouTube
Molly Burke is
trust,
part
the
of the.
YouTube Safety Council.
Are you kidding?
Nope. Susan put out a tweet, and Molly put out a tweet.
Well, she introduced the awards that Susan got the free speech award
Yeah.
for. That was just, that was so absurd. I know that George Orwell is looking down from heaven and smiling and just saying, "I told you."
He's either smiling or going, "Really?
Yeah,
Like,
really.
are you guys fucking serious right now?
Yeah,
Like, did you guys read my books and go, what a wonderful idea?
yeah, exactly. It's not an operating
That
manual.
was not
It's a
what my
warning.
that was not my intention, you idiots.
Right.
You know, like, that's
Susan Goldstein. We'll just call her Goldstein. Yeah. You know, Orwell was not a perfect man. I mean, I have
no.
a lot of bones to pick with him. People think that I because I use a lot of his memes, or a lot of memes related to things that he said, that I am an uncritical Orwell backer. Quite the contrary. He was an anti-Semite, and that is something anathemic to everything I believe.
Yeah.
But boy, did he have it right about free speech. And Susan Wojcicki abrogating free speech, and that's basically what she does. She says that she does it in the service of keeping speech responsible, what she calls responsible. But responsible essentially means supporting the lefty narrative and agreeing with Susan. And if you don't, you must be very circumspect and very reserved in your opinion. And the people on the left are given a much broader latitude to disagree and be offensive about their disagreement than conservatives or the right or libertarians are, because Susan is actually a Karen, and she is a complete and utter Karen.
Yes.
This is a woman who believes that every morning when you get up, your day should be scheduled. and it will be scheduled by the government. And there will be a government minder to make sure you're doing the right activity at the right time. So you get up, you go to the bathroom, that's scheduled. You brush your teeth, that's scheduled. You eat breakfast, you are given a nutrient bar because you're a proletariat, so you don't get good food. And you eat your nutrient bar, and then you go to your slave job, where you are monitored
It
by
is
a party member.
exercise time.
Yes, this is exercise. Exactly. This
In
is
front of the
nutritious. This is healthy.
telescreen.
Yeah, we know, but yeah, exactly. We know better for you than what you know yourself, citizen. We will be responsible for this, and then they monitor you as you go through your day, and then it's time to go to bed, and that's your life. That's what Susan wants. She literally wants that. She doesn't want anything more than that. She wants complete control over everything you do and everything you are allowed to think. The problem is that when you tidy up human beings that way and you cut off all those irritating, irresponsible, extraneous, inefficient things that humans extend out and you trim them down to the nub, you also trim away the things that are the basis for imagination, innovation, and improvement.
Yes.
And when you do that, you have a stagnant society that slowly suffocates in its own poison. And that's what Susan essentially is not bright enough to realize. She has not been exposed to enough information. She literally does not know enough about history, about how humans interact, about what makes the human race the great thing that it actually is.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand how great we can be, and uh, as as a result of that, she puts out the same sort of thing that Jack Dorsey does. They just, it's lazy thinking, and they stop thinking about it and just say, no, I want to control this, and we're just going to not let them do this, not let them do that. And it's very sad at a time like this that should be a very exciting time of innovation, full steam ahead, and lots of cool different innovations. These people actually act to retard the development of new things. They're strangely reactionary. They're strange reactionary conservatives at a time when you need true progressivism, which is the progressivism of ideas.
Yes.
They don't want new
Absolutely.
ideas.
No.
They want tomorrow to be exactly like yesterday,
Yep.
and people who are who want a better world every day are in conflict with that vision.
People
So
remember that yesterday was not so great.
yeah.
And they go, no, I'd really rather not repeat that, thank you. Um,
Oh yeah. I mean, it was minds like Susan Wojcicki, seriously, that rallied the South to resist the idea that the time for slavery had gone.
yep.
That it's 1850 now. We need to get rid of slavery. No, no, no. We're going to make all kinds of trouble, make war, blah blah blah. So the compromise of 1850, and that patchwork lasted for 10
10
years,
years, yeah.
and then it blew up in their faces. And Franklin Pierce and James Buchanan became the two worst presidents in the history of America. To and you got George W. Bush. They beat George W. Bush as worst presidents of the United States, from my opinion, because they fucked up the Civil War. But anyway, I don't want to go on a rant here. I feel kind of ranty. I think it's the caffeine.
I'm kind of the same way because I'm dealing with the remote learning crap,
Oh, you're you're
which
you're,
is
you're just pissed.
driving me crazy.
Sure, of
Then
course.
we've got this dumb federal budget that just finally got released 2 years after the election. And it's projected to run a $350 billion deficit to add to the already 500 something $billion that Trudeau
Do you,
has
do you know
managed to.
do you know that the interest on 1 year of the American debt is greater than your entire budget?
Oh, I'd believe
The
that.
interest.
I'd believe that. Um, it's just that we
In
like,
fact, back of the thumbnail, back of the info calculation, it's about 2.5 times your budget.
yep. But the thing is that you guys, well, you guys aren't going to be able to pay it down either. But
No, we're
we
screwed.
we have even less
Bye bye
people.
dollar.
We have even less people than you do.
Yeah.
So we
Actually, the
don't.
loony's in worse trouble than the dollar is.
Yeah, it is.
And
It's in big trouble,
yeah,
and we are our GDP to debt ratio is 400%.
is it really 4 to 1?
Yes, it is 4-1 right now.
Holy crap! I did not realize
It
that.
is that bad.
Yeah, that's a debt ratio that is it's real hard to. I mean, you essentially need years of austerity, which Canada will know. I mean, Quebec will actually separate from the country if you did that.
That's the problem, is that we need a conservative, like an actually conservative government right now. But the problem is that we're so full of so many progressive and not the right like, and I don't want to gatekeep about progressiveness, but I mean, like,
That there are
it's full of the
give me
people.
progressives.
It's the people that we just talked about,
Yep.
that want equal outcome instead of equal opportunity. They want everything for everyone, and they don't care how it's going to get there. And like one of the things in the budget is federally $10 a day daycare. How the fuck are we supposed to pay for that?
$10 a day.
Yeah, for the parents.
Uh,
Everything else is covered by the government somehow.
what?
How the fuck are you supposed? How can we possibly get proper, like, because right now it's you can go through your region to get
Yeah.
daycare, right? But you still pay for it, right? Like, there are subsidies available if you are low income and stuff like that,
See, but
right?
that's
But
disastrous.
you do not, you do, like, you pay, like, right now, daycare for the 3-year old,
Hmm.
we have it subsidized, but it costs, like, it costs about $900 a month, because they are feeding them, right? They are like doing educational things with them. They're doing recreational things with them. They've got, a playground outside.
Mm,
They've got, like, bicycles to ride on. Like, it's a fully functioning daycare center,
right.
right? How on earth can the government expect to provide that level of care across the country to the point where parents only need pay $10 a day?
Well, they can't. And here,
No, they can't. Kids are going
therein
to.
is the problem.
And I don't mean to sound crazy, but kids will get hurt.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Kids
absolutely.
kids could possibly die
I was just going to say that's actually what will happen, and that's
because
the
the
tragedy.
the ratio, the teacher to kid ratio will explode, because
Hmm.
everyone will be able to afford daycare, and nobody, but the centers won't be able to accommodate it.
No, you're not wrong. The the problem that Canada is getting into is the same thing that we're starting. We're almost there, but Canada's actually farther into this than we are. You're starting to use long term obligations to pay short term expenses, and
Yes.
that's terrible. So it's like mortgaging your house to pay the interest on your credit card bill.
Yes.
It is so irresponsible and so bad and so disastrous, and it gets worse with spectacular speed. And here's the the it's a problem of um, well, here's what's going on. the The problem is that politicians get in and they look for easy answers that will be okay for the period of term they're in office. This will last us for this long. We can pay all our bills if we issue 30-year bonds,
Yeah.
you know, to and we'll raise enough money to pay this year's expenses. And beyond that, I don't care. I don't care that this is going to get us into worse trouble faster in the long term because I don't care about the long term. All I care is how people feel about me
Yeah.
at this moment. And the irresponsibility that's going on is actually twofold there. The obvious one is that the politician is being irresponsible. I'm not sure Justin Trudeau even connects with reality very much. But there's another problem, and it's worse. The other problem is that the Canadian voters don't see that this is a problem, and it's a problem that they should be holding their leaders' feet to the fire to solve.
No, that's the
That's the
thing that
real problem.
most Canadians see $10 a day daycare. Oh, fucking right.
Yeah, exactly. Beauty, eh? Let's
And
go.
and and then like they see something like Christopher Freeland put in this tax
Yeah,
on an extra 25% tax on any car, boat, or anything like that over $100,000 because
right,
they
right,
deem
right.
that to be a luxury car.
Yeah. A
So
luxury
a
car.
luxury car tax.
Yes. And
Um,
it's just a naked fundraising thing.
and so right now the budget has to be voted on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Liberals need another party right now to back them in this vote. Otherwise,
Where will they get that?
their best bet right now is the NDP.
NDP. Yeah.
And I don't know if the NDP will back them. I don't think they will because they are dead set on national pharmacare. And thank fuck, even the liberals go, no. Because national pharmacare would be a disaster. Um, so the NDP are dead set on extra communisty things.
Mm.
The conservatives are definitely not going to back this budget. The Bloc Québécois are definitely not going to back this budget.
So will they vote with the conservatives, the bloc?
The Bloc, yes, probably.
Okay. So NDP has 24 seats. Bloc has 32. NDP plus Green is 27. They really they should be able that should be enough. NDP
Yeah,
if they get the NDP.
If the NDP if they can get them to vote with them, then they're fine, right?
Yep.
But if the NDP says no, this is not a budget that we're looking for, and the conservatives say no, this is not a budget we're looking for, and the Bloc says no, this is not a budget we're looking for, then we go to the polls.
Now, when you say go to the polls, explain to me an
The
American
general
what that
election
means.
is called.
Oh, really?
Yes.
If they can't pass a
This is a
budget?
confidence vote. Yes.
Oh,
A
so
budget is a budget vote is a confidence vote.
and that's just in your charter or constitution,
Yeah,
or whatever you have.
if the government
Proclamation.
cannot pass a budget
Yeah.
through the House of Commons, that means that there is no confidence in the government, no confidence in the budget, and then we go to an election.
So the politics that's going on, at least a little bit of that, is how many of the seat holders of the liberal group think it would, or not liberal group, but of the NDP think it would be a good thing to hold an election right now. Are they
Yeah.
looking to gain? Well, obviously they're looking to
They're
gain.
all
I
yeah,
mean, do they have the prospect of gaining if an election was held right now?
probably.
Are there enough I assume that they are going to take those seats from liberals.
They may end up taking them from liberals, and they may end up taking them from younger voters who don't quite know where to go right
Well,
now.
that's who's going to vote for that. But what I'm interested in is, can the NDP take from conservatives, or will they be taking from liberals? Because
They
essentially,
may end up taking from conservatives as well because of the fact that Aaron O'Toole, the leader of the Conservative
but do
Party,
you know the magnitude of that? How big a change? What I'm trying to drive toward is is figuring out if the NDP is a rising force that is going to eventually replace the liberals, or if they're just forever a
I think
dissatisfied
they
liberal party.
may end up. I think, unfortunately, they may end up replacing the liberals.
Okay, then you're screwed.
Yeah,
You then Canada is screwed
because
because those people are crazy.
we only have the conservatives' permanent voting
Do
base.
you agree with me that the NDP are crazy?
Oh God, oh they're insane.
What
They're
convinced you that they were insane? What about?
so when I was younger, like 18,
Yeah,
I was an NDP voter.
really.
And then I
I bet you
started
were fun.
I st- I started looking into things, and like, when you grow up a bit
Sure.
and you have to actually, go to the food bank a few times and get moldy food that
Hmm.
lasts you for 2 days,
Hmm.
and live some life for a bit.
Oh boy, ramen again.
Yeah. Then you start to look at what the other people like the conservatives have to say, and you go, some of this makes a little bit more sense, and a lot of these conservatives aren't your conservatives of the 50s and are much more progressive than you would think. And, like, because in Canada, a lot of conservatives are pretty progressive minded. You'll get your few religious crazy people,
Much
like,
much more than in the United
oh yeah,
States.
you'll still get your religious nuts. But for the most part, if you asked a conservative today,
Hmm.
should a gay person get married? Yes. Should pot be legal? Yes. Should women have equal opportunities as men? Yes. Should, like, all, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You're not gonna get, no, keep them women in the kitchen.
Right.
No, keep those faggots apart. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Yep.
So, and those are,
Got to be careful with the F word.
that's right.
That's
That's true.
Susan, we're sorry, we didn't mean
We
that.
didn't mean that, yes. But you've got, so when you, and those were mostly my check boxes, right? Because for a while when Stephen Harper was prime minister, he was still pushing back on the like the gay marriage went to the Supreme Court. Um, it's he was very much anti-pot, all this stuff, right?
Hmm.
So, but as the years went on and the conservatives became more progressive, I was like, politically, these guys are making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You should have to earn things. You shouldn't just throw money everywhere. And, like, they're not.
Responsibility has a place in my
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Yeah, you had that moment.
So yeah, so that's what, and that's the problem is that the Conservative Party in this country has a bunch of very older people in power.
Yeah.
They don't identify with the younger voting public.
Oh hell no.
And but the problem is that there are lots of younger voting public that are in the demographic of, like, mine and Pink Hollow's age,
Yeah.
that are like, you know
For our
what?
audience, how old are you
We're in
guys?
our 30s.
Okay,
So that there are people in their 30s and, or young, like early
because you
40s that,
actually come off looking a little bit younger than
yeah,
the 30.
that's what people say.
Yeah, you look like you're in your 20s.
Yeah,
So
we're
somebody looking at you, they would say, yeah, she's like 25.
I'll be 32 in July.
Okay.
So we like there are a lot of people in this country in that demographic that are very much more conservative minded than you would think.
Yeah.
But the problem is there are dinosaurs running for the leadership. So the 30-year-old demographic and the early 40-year-old demographic don't want to vote for those guys because some of those guys, if you get them on their own and you ask them some of the questions that I just asked, will still go, you know what I mean? Like, because
Really?
they're older,
Yeah.
right? They're older. They're still from that older we need a younger conservative like generation to run for
We
leadership.
need a Pepsi generation.
We need like 40 in their 40s, in their 50s guys running for office, not 60s. Like, no offense to you, Skep,
No
not
worries.
60s, not 60s and 70s people,
I
aged
actually
people.
agree with you. I tend to agree with you. You have to have someone with a youthful enough outlook, and that's why in many cultures the idea of death is considered a gift. It's
Mm-hmm.
the gift that the deity gave to mankind, and because death is even though it scares us on an individual basis, we don't like to think about not having a consciousness anymore and how the world will continue on without us and so forth. But in point of fact, it's how society and how humans renew themselves.
Yeah.
And without death, you would have, think of it, you would never have the important changes they would be so retarded by, they would be slowed down by the hanging on of these ancient, creatures,
Yeah.
year after year after year. They keep saying no and keep saying no and become more and more entrenched. I mean, it would actually be a nightmare,
It
and it would
would.
be a nightmare for the creatures.
It
It would be
would.
a nightmare for the old creatures. You would actually get to where I think you would yearn for death, and that actually would be maybe be the salvation, is that the suicide rate would be off the chain.
Char. Yeah. It would.
It would just be amazing. So,
That's
while
why I like
I don't
that's
look forward to my death, but on the other hand, I understand why it's necessary and understand why it's good.
mm-hmm. But
Death
that's
is
why
good. Embrace
guys
it.
That's why guys like Pierre Polyev, who is a bit younger, like
Hmm.
he's in his 50s, um, he's striking a very like a chord
Oh, sure, of
with
course he.
younger people because
Of course he is.
and
I've
because
even heard
he's
that name.
yeah, like I've showed you some videos of him, and
Yeah, actually, that's where I've heard it. I
he's
think about it.
he's and the thing is that he's not like crude about his call outs, but he's not, this old fogey either. He's got
Hmm.
tongue in cheek. He's got a good delivery. It's snappy, it's witty, it's on point, and
And it's in touch.
it's in touch, yeah.
That's
And
really.
he's constantly talking about the Canadian public. He's not talking about, oh, us up here in the House of Commons. He's constantly saying the people here, the people who put us here, is what
Hmm.
he keeps saying. Like he keeps trying to hammer it home that the Canadian public are technically the boss.
Well,
And
that's because they are.
that's not something that most politicians will do.
No, no, that's true. That's
And that's, I really think we need more guys like him in the in the
House of
in the
Commons or
conservative
in
party.
conservative parties.
And
Okay.
Dr. Functional does have a good point. Jack Layton, who was the leader of the NDP, was a lot more sensible and reasonable than Jagmeet Singh is. And Jack Layton was in the leadership role when I was a voter of NDP. He passed away from cancer in 2012, I think. But he was a lot more like level-headed than the current leader of the New Democratic Party. The New Democratic Party now is nothing like the New Democratic Party was uh 15 years ago.
Really.
Yeah.
So bring this back up to 50,000 feet. Um, where are things going for Canada and necessarily the United States over the next few years?
It's going to be very hard either way, because if we get it, like in Canada, for example, if we get a conservative government, a lot of people are going to be upset about what's going to have to happen.
Well,
Like
what do you think is
the
going to happen? Oh,
austerity,
the
the
austerity.
measures that are going to have to take place.
Do you really
They're
think that the political will can ever exist in Canada for that to happen, or must they actually suffer the brutal destruction of their currency before that will happen? Because I happen to think the latter.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to probably there aren't
You're going to have
enough
to
of
destroy your
us.
currency.
Yeah, there aren't enough of us. I would like to think that there are enough people that are fed up, but
Uh-huh.
unfortunately there aren't.
Yeah. And the
Unf-
problem is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is when you destroy your currency, here's what happens. You have been printing your currency to pay your debts.
yeah.
And eventually you have to print at such a rate that it begins to devalue your currency faster than you can print it. And which is to say that your currency begins to have the prospect of having zero value. And this is the point at which countries, and Israel actually had to do this, will devalue their currency. Israel has something called the new shekel. They reverse split their old shekel, which is the equivalent of a dollar, their version of a dollar. I forget what it's worth, but
Right.
it's not worth exactly a dollar, but it's their fundamental unit of currency. They reverse split it. I think 100 for 1, might have
Wow.
even been 1,000 for 1. And what that means is that on Monday you have $1,000. On Tuesday you have $1.
Oh dear.
That's what your buying power is, and all that is recognizing a reality.
Yeah.
That's all that ever is. That's the only reason that ever happens is at the end of World War II, when Germans used wheelbarrows to carry billions and billions, and this was actually true, billions of Deutschmarks to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And eventually they couldn't buy a loaf of bread for any Deutschmarks because the mark had lost its value completely. They had to reformulate their currency. Now they actually had to reconstruct their currency from scratch with help from other countries. And I would hate to see that happen to Canada, uh, which would be disastrous for Canada. And
Yeah.
I would hate to see it happen in the United States because it wouldn't just be disastrous for the United States. It would shake the world.
Yeah.
It would absolutely shake the world. You would see real diminishment in international trade for several years that it would cost many people their lives
Mm-hmm.
if the dollar fell out of bed. And so that's why I wish it, it's people say, well, you're just a deficit hawk. It's more than just being a deficit hawk. What I'm interested is in the preservation of the country, and for guys like President Obama, whose philosophy was, well, it's just a number and we owe it to ourselves. Neither of those statements is true.
No.
It represents a very real transfer of value. So it's not just a number, and you don't owe it to yourself. Other people have trusted you to pay that money back.
Yes.
Just because you can say "fuck you" and you have big guns, that's really what Paul Krugman, the economist who recommends this irresponsible spending, is saying. But he's doing is telling the politicians what they want to hear. What does he get for it? He gets awarded a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't know. Makes me
Functional says our super lax border and immigration policies aren't helping either. No.
No. That's that. The problem there is you continue to thin your labor pool with lower skilled workers who inevitably need assistance that has to be provided by the taxpayer, which strains an already strained financial system. And these things. It's just there are very few healthy countries financially right now. The actual reason for that, if you want to know the root cause of all root causes, is that humans have been too successful at breeding.
Yeah.
Just have a few too many people in the wrong places. It's not that we have too many people all over the world, but we have too many people in the wrong places that are not getting access to the right opportunities to develop into people who can be efficient generators of wealth in the right place.
Yeah.
That's actually the problem that we have. And the pro-immigration guys say, open your borders and all this will solve. I tend to think no.
No.
And the reason for that is you have this short-term phenomenon where this massive influx of people just overwhelms your government. And the immigrationists all say, no, that won't happen. It will be, that's a momentary blip, and then it will stop. They never explain why it will stop.
Yeah.
They never explain why you won't be overwhelmed. I love that, and then you have all the suboptimal cross purposes. With Iran and Turkey are sending terrorists in the United States via Mexico. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! I don't know what to say. Anyway, I'm just raising snakes and acting like everything is awful. And we did have one thing that was really interesting and cool, if you wanted to talk about it for a minute.
Sure.
Happened, and that was the flight of the Ingenuity drone.
I read about that on Monday. That was so cool.
Oh my God!
They managed to do that, and they got it for 39 seconds. They got it to fly.
Oh yeah, and it all it did was it went straight up and came straight down. I mean, it was not there.
Yeah.
It wasn't buzzing the bluffs or anything like that. Nothing like that. They just made it go up in the air and go down, and they wanted to see how it did, and it just did beautifully. I understand, because you think about all the things that had to go in to the development of little Ingenuity.
Yes.
You have an atmosphere with, I forget what the percentage is. If it's like 1% roughly of the pressure per square inch of the sea level atmosphere.
It's hugely different compared
hugely
to
different.
us.
And the break you get on gravity is they've got about 40% of the gravity. It's 39%, I think, of the gravity.
Something like that, yeah.
And so that's actually pretty close. So the upshot of that is that you have to design a completely different type of thing. It's got to have bigger blades, can't be that heavy. You don't get enough of an advantage from the gravity to offset the fact that the atmosphere is thinner. You have to have, it has big, gigantic, blades on it to
Yeah.
propel it. And it was so cool to see that thing go up in the air. But the pictures that you get, all you get is the resting on the ground, and then you get one shot of it in the air, and then it goes back down.
I
It's
think
not like there's a
Spirit
film
took
or
some
anything.
video of it.
There's no video.
Or not Spirit. What's the frickin' rover?
Perseverance. Percy.
Perseverance, yeah.
Percy.
Perseverance, I thought got some film of it, but
It did. It did. But the film that it took was a shot, several shots of it on the ground. So
oh,
while the
okay.
things were spinning, they kind of cobbled that into a what appears to be a video, because when you look at a bunch of shots, it's still shots in a row. If the propellers move, if the blades move, it appears to your eye will trick you into thinking that you're
Oh,
watching
okay.
a movie, because that's what a movie is. It just does that very fast
Yeah.
and seemingly seamless. And then but then the next thing you see is it's up in the air, and it actually just looks like it's moved up the frame in the picture.
Oh,
It doesn't
wow.
doesn't really, you have to think about it and then realize that it has not changed its size, because it appears to have moved away from the rover, appears to have moved away from you, and then you realize, no, it's the same size. That's because it's up in the air, and that's actually pretty cool. One about 10 feet in the air, just a little bit over 3 meters in the air, and then came back down. And I was just so impressed by that.
That is the
This
only.
thing, it's enduring temperatures of 140 degrees below zero.
Yeah, I would like to know where else like we could use Ingenuity. We could because we couldn't use it on Venus, unfortunately.
Titan.
We could use it on Titan for sure.
I
We
would
could probably use it
fly
on
like a bird.
Europa.
You'd actually have. I think you'd actually. I have to look that up. The gravity on Titan.
I think it's similar to ours.
No, it's not as
Or
much.
not
No, no,
similar to it's not as much as
similar
ours,
to the
but
moon.
it's
Yeah,
similar to the moon, I think. But it's got a thicker atmosphere because of the
Titan's gravity is 14% of
okay.
Earth's gravity, which is about 1/6, which is roughly
The moon.
like the moon.
Yeah.
So, um,
But yeah, but because of the atmosphere
well, the
being
atmosphere is
thicker.
4.5 times as dense as Earth's atmosphere.
Wow.
So you actually could have little tiny blades on it, and it would just be a monster. But you'd have to have a powerful motor on it
Yeah, you would.
to crank those boys through that because it's a lot of molecules that you got to push against.
Yeah.
But it would, yeah, if you had a powerful enough motor on it, it'd be a tremendously efficient little guy.
I wonder if you could fly it in the very, very upper atmosphere of Venus.
Oh, of course you could.
Like
You could
not anywhere close to the surface, but
you could fly it on the surface if you could ruggedize the the thing to survive the heat. That's
and
a
the
big
pressure.
thing. Yeah, the heat, the pressure, and the winds also. The winds are almost as fast as the winds on Neptune.
Well, because of how apparently I thought I like the wind on Venus is I can't remember what the analogy was, but it because of the atmosphere pressure, the wind
Mhm.
is so
It
uh
has so much force,
force. Yeah. Apparently the winds apparently move slow on Venus, but they are
but they're enormously
enormously
powerful.
powerful
Yeah,
because of
that's
how
what I meant to say.
strong the atmosphere is.
They're as powerful as the winds are on Neptune without being anywhere near as forceful
Yeah.
because of the pressure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it took what 14 Russian probes and crushed them.
Oh yeah, it only three of them I think sent back of the Venera
Yeah,
probes sent images back, and
Yeah.
those are kind of awesome to look at. You see these rocks kind of strewn on the ground, and you realize you're looking inside an oven. You're looking inside 1,000-degree oven. It's
And the
just
very creepy thing is that Earth is probably going to look like that someday.
yeah, it. There's a couple of ways we could go. It's
And I don't mean that because of us. I mean
well,
that
no,
just
I mean,
because of the eventual way that the climate and the sun cycle, like when the sun
yeah.
starts to die.
One thing about Earth is that we have these things called plants that
Mm,
turn carbon dioxide into oxygen.
that's true.
As long as and most of that actually is done. People don't realize this. Most of that is done by the microorganisms on the surface of the ocean
Yep.
and in the ocean. But be as long as we have this, Earth is going to have a relatively high concentration of relatively high ratio of oxygen to carbon dioxide, and as long as you stay on top of that balance, you can pretty much avoid greenhousing the Earth.
Mm,
At least that seems to be a theory that is occurring right now. We'll see how long that one stays. But it makes intuitive sense. It certainly makes intuitive sense
yes.
that if you can do that. Now, of course, the climate alarmists say, no, 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 we have to, retard man's
We have 12
activities.
years before all the oxygen runs away from the atmosphere, and then we're all gonna die.
There's nothing wrong with the idea of being careful
Oh,
with
of
with the
course.
Earth's resources, and I want to have clean water and clean air too. And to the extent that we can, be careful and preserve those things and make our environment better, I think that's wonderful. But the stuff that's like being proposed in Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, the Green New Deal, which she is reintroducing, by the
Yeah.
way, it won't make it through again, but she will continue to do this lunacy until she finds enough lunatics to vote for it. And she essentially wants to destroy the economy and rebuild it. And she even says that. She
Yeah.
says, "This is, yeah, I've heard of creative destruction. I read those words. I don't know what they mean, but I want to destroy stuff too, and then we'll rebuild it because it'll be magic. We'll just get people to do it. It'll just, God, that it
They're
just
teaching us
pains
about.
me.
They were teaching the kids about Earth Day
Yeah,
yesterday, and talking about how, and the way they did it was actually pretty good. The book was talking about how we need to, you know, not be so wasteful and just reuse things, and not too climate alarmy, right?
yeah,
Talking about how we got to make sure that the animals are able to do what they do to keep the habitats going and the
yeah,
ecosystems going, and the actual important things.
right.
Right.
Real ecology.
And then they're supposed to make an Earth Day poster with a message and
Right?
whatever. So Alex and I were stuck. We couldn't think of a message, and Pincalo called us just to check on us, and I told him what the project was, and he came up with a really good message, which is both Earth Day and COVID related, which was, animals don't need face masks. Please throw yours in the garbage. Cuz
Are you kidding?
he tells me that he sees so many of those disposable ones just
Mhm.
like thrown on the ground.
Oh yeah, people are picking those up, by the way,
Yeah.
and using them.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I mean,
It's,
I
it seems
wouldn't, but
crazy.
like even during, like, not during COVID, I would not use a used face mask. I just
Yeah.
no.
Here's the thing about face masks. We'll run through the physics one more time. Here is why ultimately, actually, face masks are a good idea. And face masks are a good idea for not for the reason that everybody thinks.
Yeah.
But face here, the weave in an N95 face mask is, I believe, it's 400 microns. Now, micron is a millionth of a meter.
Right.
It's a very tiny, tiny distance. So 400 of these is still pretty small. The typical size of a bacteria, typical bacteria is 1 micron. Okay. But wait for it. A virus particle that carries COVID is 1/1000th the size of a bacteria. So this is 400,000 times. The weave in an N95 mask is 400,000 times bigger than the particle that it's supposed to stop. The holes are 400 that you could put 400,000 of them across and take two of them away and they would not touch the sides of the mask as they pass through. Now here's the deal. So people say, well, then it's completely ineffective.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not completely ineffective because here is where it is effective. Typically, only some of the virus particles travel freely like that. More of them travel on globules of spit. The
Yes.
globules of spit are quite large. They're
Yes.
actually seeable, which means they are thousands of microns large.
Yes.
And those do get stopped by the weave in the mask, and that is why ultimately you should wear a mask. Wearing a mask is a good thing.
Yes.
It will assist you in not transmitting those globules from your mouth, which you're not even aware of it, just even talking or singing.
Speaking moistly.
Yeah, speaking moistly, exactly. But or just speaking, period. Just if you have saliva in your mouth, it's going to happen. And the other thing is, it will protect you from that discharge from other people's mouths too.
Yes.
So it's generally it is a positive thing, but compared to social distancing, it's not nearly as effective. Social distancing is much more effective.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't want to catch this thing, just stay away from people. I mean, that's basically what a mask do. And that, unfortunately, that's the message that the Canadian government seems to have taken up in these draconian "keep your school children at home, don't let them go outside" dictum that they seem to be following.
This morning,
Yeah.
the educational assistant that works with his classroom teacher. So everyone was coming into the meeting at it wasn't even time for the announcements to start.
Yeah.
So you would think that it would be okay for people to be saying hi, whatever. So one of the kids, I guess, had stepped away from their mic or from their computer, and you could hear a tiny bit of noise. Not even outrageous amounts of noise. It was just background, not like a fridge running probably,
Right.
and maybe a TV very quietly in another room. And the EA was like, everyone needs to mute, please. Mute your microphone.
Thank you, Karen.
It's like, Jesus Christ, they can't even say hi to each other? What the fuck? And this EA is always like this. Whenever the main teacher is not there, or if she's stepped away.
EA is extended asshole. Is that?
It should be. EA is educational assistant. So basically, a teacher who failed.
Yeah, exactly.
And basically is only assisting.
Yeah.
So, but this woman, every time the classroom teacher is either stepped away from her computer or working with a student in a breakout room, is power tripping all over the kids. Micromanaging the crap out of them.
So
Like,
this broken tyrant of a human being is in charge of little ones,
yeah.
because that makes sense.
Yeah, and she was just all about the muted microphones this morning before class had even started. It would be like us showing up to the pre-stream
Yeah,
and you going, "Okay, Prospero, mute your mic, please. Okay, Harry, mute your mic, please." It's like, "Fuck you, you little cunt."
tyrant.
Like, just
Right, exactly. I'm with you.
yelling at the kid like, and it wasn't even, like I said, it wasn't even outrageous noise. It was just background incidental noise.
Well, speaking of muting your microphones, and I point out here that you guys have spent another hour of your lives with live press,
Yes, you
and you
have.
did seem to have done it on purpose, and we appreciate it. So, at any rate, I do want to thank you for having me on. I truly enjoy coming in and hanging with you every couple of weeks,
Oh, it's
and
always fun to have you on.
it's always fun to be here.
And I will be with you again tomorrow night on Minions, and
Yes, we
I
will.
will actually set an alarm so that if I fall asleep, I will wake up.
We're just worried about you. That's all.
um,
But
No,
no,
the boys were going crazy, and then Logan was like, "I want you to lie down with me." And I'm like,
okay.
"Okay, fine," and then I fell asleep.
That's the end of that.
So,
Been there too many times myself. And for those of you who are asking about my new adopted grandchildren, they are continuing to thrive
oh,
and doing
good,
very well.
good,
We're just gonna leave that at them. I'm uh, cutting down the visibility a little bit on
good,
that
good,
because
good.
of some of the drama that's surrounding that. But thanks for asking. Everything's going well, and also we have. Uh, oh, I told you I was going to get you some ideas for the stream, for the Star Trek stream I'm having.
Yeah, I like your Sex Among the Stars one. That's a
That's the
fun.
best
That's a
idea I've
good
had
one.
so far. But
I
that,
like that one.
yeah, the romance, Trek romances, and romances that did happen, romances that didn't happen, and romances that should have happened.
Yes.
I that was the most refined thought that I had on that. That's
Or could we also maybe bring in some of the cultural stuff that we've been shown about the different courting?
oh yeah, just even dueling sociologies. Just
Yeah,
the interesting cultural habits, norms, values, practices,
they hurl
interactions.
heavy objects.
Yeah, yeah. Comparison of like Bajorans and Klingons as far as their approach to war. And Bajorans are sneaky and kind of guerrilla warfare guys, where Klingons are just, march down the center of the battlefield and
Hmm.
die and die for the
Today
glory of
is
the
a good
empire.
day to die.
Right, exactly. So anyway, tune in on Saturday because those things are always a lot of fun. We have the best
Yes.
time on that, and chat sure seems to enjoy it too. So come and join us, guys.
And tomorrow there will be a Beat the Blind Girl stream because I will not be having my eyes cleaned.
Okay.
So that will be happening tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.
See you, everybody. Bye bye.